we have the thought process of, or the myth that membership candidates become members of Tau Beta Sigma once they have gone through the ritual of third degree. So to paint this picture, we're gonna have some role playing. So, da 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 da.
Boom boom.
Da 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 da.
Boom boom.
Da da da.
Boom boom. Boom 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 boom.
She missed the cutoff, which is fine. Okay, so please welcome the Hollywood starlet, Leslie Garten, your National Vice President for Communication and Recognition. Go.
So my little sister paid their new initiate fees and signed the signature sheet on the initiate registration form, which is all fine and well, but thanks to the Rona, we had to postpone performing our third degree, so they're really not a sister. I mean, after all, how can they be considered a sister if they don't know our secrets?
So I want to hear from you. What are some of the things that you think are wrong with that particular statement? And you can raise your hand and let me know if you want to take like maybe a minute to kind of think about what might be wrong with that statement. And then I want to hear from the group.
Right now they're actually doing like online Zoom graduations for high schoolers. So one thing they can probably do is like host a Zoom for the last initiation for them. And they can probably, I don't know, or they could probably just like help them out with things that they should know until the last ritual.
So actually your second stab at that was actually correct. So one of the things that we don't want to try to attempt to do is do our rituals online, only because, you know, obviously y'all probably read the headlines about Zoom and people like, you know, cracking into those, hackers being able to get into those. So that's why you had like 17 layers to get into this one meeting, I'm sure. And so that's something that we don't want to try to do. But yes, try to get through all of Overture, you know, you have that ideal. But also, for those of you who are super astute in terms of reading our Constitution from page 1 all the way down to the end, you will know, and I will say specifically on page 3, which is the very first page, it talks about the organization and the structure of our organization. And it's actually broken down into 4 things. So the breakdown is corporation. We are actually a corporation before we are almost anything else. So if you know what corporation is, what the definition of that is, it means that we can have employees. It means that we can have a budget. We have a budget. It means that we pay taxes. And so I know, right? Mind blown. As an organization, we are responsible. We are financially responsible for a lot of different things. And so we use a term, you know, playfully, like if a person's not financial. And so what that means is you turned in your new initiate registration, or for those of you who are active members, you turn in your membership candidate, or your chapter personnel report each year and pay your dues. And the chapter pays its chapter dues to the national organization so that we can continue as a corporation. How many of you, show of hands, every year you're really good at having honorary members? You bring people in. How many of you actually, or what % of the time do you actually get to do a degree for those individuals? Community. That was a good choice, but no, corporation. So thinking along those lines of, if you pay the money, they become an honorary member, and if you can put them through a ritual, then that's great, because we want you to try to do that so that they have a better understanding and a deeper meaning and understanding of the organization. But sometimes, you know, scheduling, that's really hard, you know, especially if it's someone who is like a professor or a director of bands who, they're busy people. So kind of keeping in mind the idea that you become a member when you are financially obligated to the organization. And then from there, you know, you get the fringe benefits and reap the benefits of the sisterhood and the obligation and the camaraderie and all of the great things that come along with being a member of this wonderful organization. So, you know, the secrets are great. that's what bonds us a lot. But what makes you an actual, like, legit member is being financial with the national organization. Okay. Go ahead.
I know we're short on time.
Yeah.
But I think what would help, and when I've had chapter members come with this question, is thinking back to when you extend a person a bid to join TBS or TV Sigma, that you're already recognizing in that person that they have the qualities of a sister within our organization. So the purpose of Overture, the purpose of the MEP isn't to make someone a sister, it's to teach them the business of the sorority. So once they've completed their education, which is what all of these classes are doing, they now understand the business and can act in that way. And then it's your privilege really to be able to share the secrets and those special meetings once you are all back together. So it's not creating someone through the process, it's showing the business to someone who you already see as a sister. So I think that's been a helpful mindset too.
Very good. Absolutely. Why we pay her the non-big bucks. Woo. Okay. Because I want you to be able to hear this wonderful person's voice and do her activity as well. We're gonna jump forward a little bit. And the myth is, our chapter has a long-standing tradition of making all of our Kappa Kappa Psi brothers honorary members of Tau Beta Sigma the semester after they graduate. So every Kappa Kappa Psi member of their brothering chapter there at their university, they automatically make them an honorary member of Tau Beta Sigma after they graduate. So Nikki, tell us a little bit about why we should not do that.
Can we hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great. And of course, my neighbor starts vacuuming right now. So if you see my poll everywhere link, you can either text Nikki Lyons 993 to 37607, or you can click the poll everywhere link. Of course, it turns up even more, and put that into your browser. And the question that I want to ask you all is, what does your chapter consider when you're deciding whether to bestow someone with an honorary membership? What are the, you can give me 1 or 2 words, give me a small phrase, and it should show us results. And I'll give you a couple seconds to do that. All right, come on through, service to our band.
At Zeta Beta, we look at the contributions, more the selfless contributions they make to the band, whether it's financial or just help or how they were in their band program. And sometimes it's people that did march while they were undergraduate but didn't get a chance to do TBS. So then we grant them honorary membership.
Okay. So, and Layla, I like what you just said about the work that they put in and how valued that is. And then also looking at some of the answers you all have here about contributions not only to the band, but to the chapter, and how what they do matches up against the mission statement of TV Sigma, and how that also matches to our ideals. Because when you look at the National Constitution, it says that honorary membership is supposed to be given in recognition of outstanding ability, of accomplishments they've made in music and even in their field of endeavor, and also a devotion to the best interest of the sorority. And the fact that this is the highest honor that like a chapter can give. When you give someone honorary membership to your chapter, you are saying that you exemplify the ideals and the principles that we hold dear and that we hold in high regard. So that's not something that you want to just give away to someone who may or may not, who may not be the best ideal or best example. And so you do want to be mindful, and you do want to have discussions if that's not something that happens, where your chapter sits down and talks about why this person is definitely someone you want to issue honorary membership to. Because when membership is given too liberally, sometimes the value can be lost on those who are giving it or those who are receiving it. So if it's almost an expectation that when I graduate, I'm going to get membership anyway, that may be someone who doesn't necessarily feel that it's important to continue to uphold the ideals that we cherish. And so that can leave room for, you know, folks to kind of, it's almost like slip up on being exemplary. Like Allison was saying, when you're looking at prospective membership candidates, you see ideals in them that they are already great and they could be a great sister. So you don't want to leave room to say, all right, well, now, you know, it's all right, but we're gonna go ahead and say, hey, friend, welcome in. Because then that also, for some chapters, I know they're working right now to kind of build up, they're doing some rebranding or rebanding, as Erica called it. And so you don't want to start having folks come in and mess up the good work that you've done and mess up the good reputation that your chapter's built. So.
Very good. And to kind of tack on to what Nikki said, I like to also tell chapters not to be the Oprah of honorary memberships, where it's like, you get an honorary membership, and you get an honorary membership, and you get John Travolta for no apparent reason. You just yell that out, and I don't really know why. So yeah, that's perfect. I couldn't have said it any better way. And I'm looking at all the ideals that some of you have listed, and yes, y'all all have the right idea of our honorary membership and what that would mean. Okay, we've got time for one more that I want you to actually take into consideration, because this one has come up a lot over the last actually 2 months. And so I wanted to dispel this last one, but the ones we didn't get to, what I am gonna do at the end of this is go through them so that you know which ones we didn't do, and kind of give you like a brief kind of kick into that. But this document, again, that we're gonna share with all of you, it'll have all of that on there. So if you have any questions, once you review the things that we didn't go through today, feel free to reach out to us for more elaboration on things like that. So the last one I want to talk about today is, go down here to the last one. Voting a person to be placed on alumni status is a standard chapter operation as it pertains to membership. Again, I'm going to repeat that one. Voting a person to be placed on alumni status is a standard chapter operation as it pertains to membership. So Lenny, I'm going to let you share your screen and talk a little bit about that and what that means and the ins and outs of being an alumni of the organization.
So basically, and I'm going to keep this short, I know we don't have much time, but alumni status isn't something that the chapter has the ability to really grant. It's just the flow of life and how things go. So this first little screen just gives you an idea of what it means to be an alumni. And basically, the active members in good standing, you're eligible if you do one of three things. If you graduate, you withdraw from school or transfer to another school that has no active chapter. So you've basically ended your affiliation with the university. Or you attend school for more than 4 years, then you can claim alumni status. It also applies to associate and conditional members because they're members in good standing. So anybody that's in good standing with the organization, if you've ended your term with that school for one of those reasons, then you are alumni. So what does that mean to be alumni? You can go to the next screen. It grants you a couple of different things. Alumni members are eligible for life membership and also membership in the Tau Beta Sigma Alumni Association. It's not automatic. Those are additional things on top of being an alumni member. And then what does your active chapter have to do? You need to update your membership status to alumni and OMRS. So that's something that's important to make sure that you that membership status is official with the organization. Alumni members that they're just alumni. They're no longer active members. They don't hold a vote in active chapter meetings. They really shouldn't be that influential in the active chapter. These privileges are really reserved for active members. But alumni members, they can be invited back to participate in special chapter events, ceremonies, and rituals. So there's that fine balance of respecting that alumni status, that these are our members who have been part of our organization, but really they've moved on and are able to support the organization in other ways.
Awesome. And with that in mind, a question that has come up actually within the last 4 hours, literally as of today, sometimes you have people who graduate from the organization and they're inactive. So they, for whatever reason, at some point, they did not pay active dues. So remember, inactive status means that they did not pay active dues for a school term, and therefore, but they stayed in school, and so therefore they are marked as inactive. So you have people who will graduate from college who never went back to the chapter for whatever reason, but they might want to claim alumni status after the fact. So the way that you do that is you actually go into the OMRS and you fill out what's called an inactive reinstatement and give the reasons on why you were not able to claim active status and you graduated inactive. And we as a National Council will look it over and just make sure that everything that you tell us in that to be as descriptive as you can for those of you who maybe have members who are in that boat or former members who are in that boat. Give us as much information as you can, because then we take that, we make a decision, and then usually depending on the situation, you'll have to pay a year's due, that whatever it is at that time. So right now it's 105. So you pay that and then you become an alumni member of the organization. So we get that one a lot, and literally, like I said, got that question like 4 hours ago. So just wanted to make sure, you know, real life, relatable content. Okay, technically we are done. It is 4 o'clock right now, but this room is going to stay open for another hour for anybody who has questions. But before we go, I did want to kind of go through everything that we didn't get to cover today. And then I'm going to stick around. If you have any membership questions, feel free to stick around and ask. And we can talk about it a little bit. So we'll kind of treat these as Erica's office hours, if you will. But first, please thank our panel for doing a phenomenal job today. We sat together. I had my giant whiteboard. Dr. Spradlin was talking about, you know, what that looked like, and I have one too. Some of you saw it the other day. It's blank right now, but that's only momentary. It will be full soon again. So yeah, but the things that we didn't cover today, and it was really good stuff, and I wish we'd had a little bit more time, but that's okay, because there's so many other great things going on. So I want to make sure that that you're able to get to those things. So some of the things that we didn't cover today, I'll give you the myth and the quick bust, and we'll go into it more, like I said, on the document. You'll have a chance to look a little bit more into it. So our chapter struggles with diversity, but it's not our fault that a more diverse pool of candidates isn't interested in TBS. So the bust of that is promoting diversity and inclusion is a challenge that many chapters face at all levels. While it can feel like you just can't help it, these are often small ways you can be more inclusive within your chapter, and this often starts with recruitment. So thank you, Katie, for submitting that one. And again, she's got more information for you in that regard. Our chapter has a joint ritual called Joint Third Degree. So here's where we're asking you to think about ritual versus ceremony. Rituals are nationally recognized and prescribed activity for initiating your membership candidates into Tau Beta Sigma. They can only be attended by those persons who are members or who are being made members of Tau Beta Sigma. However, a ceremony is something that is open to the public and is typically not a secret. It is often an event that is performed in observance of something. So for example, we just had a birthday, and your National Council, we did the Tau Beta Sigma Founders Day ceremony, and anybody in the world can go and look because we live streamed it to Facebook. So that's the difference between a ritual and a ceremony. It's a requirement for all membership candidates to be quizzed or tested on their knowledge of Tau Beta Sigma. I mean, after all, this is the only real way to gauge how much they've learned. And the bust to that is membership candidate testing is not a national requirement from Tau Beta Sigma. So there are a lot of ways to impart the values of our organization to your candidates beyond administering quizzes or tests. And so for those of you who are membership educators, we actually did send out some resources the curriculum team put together for those of you who were going to have to finish out the rest of your membership education class this semester. online and finding ways to kind of get around that if you are a chapter that still uses quizzes or tests. So there are a lot of different ways that you can do that. And just remember, it's not a national requirement. So it's something that if your chapter wants to do that, then that's on you, but it's not something that we're going to make every chapter do. It's okay to charge a small membership candidate fee on top of the $125 that they're required to pay in new initiate fees to the national organization. So this is a huge myth. Membership candidates should only be charged the $125 in new initiate dues to become members of Tau Beta Sigma. This is where we go back to where we're talking about being financial, and for them to be recognized by the national organization, that is what we require of them. So it's on the chapter to make sure that y'all are footing the bill for anything else that they may need during the membership education program, whether that be if you guys do books for them, or if for some reason y'all decide that you want to get all of them their first set of letters as a chapter, or if you want your bigs to buy those. Like, those are things that they shouldn't have to do to become a member of the organization. Like, it's literally, you can only charge them when they are first new members in that regard. So yeah, and there's more information on that as well. Some of our chapter has a surplus of money left over from a fundraiser we held to help purchase new uniforms for the marching band. It's okay to use those funds to cover each member's active dues for next year, right? So keep in mind that we are a nonprofit organization that supports college bands. So therefore, the majority of chapter funds should be used to support your college band program. And also, one of the things that needs to be kind of set out at the beginning is that the responsibility of meeting all requirements of membership is on the individual to achieve. Therefore, that also includes being able to meet your financial obligations to the national organization from year to year. This is a big one, and I feel like I'm going to have a lot of questions on this one, so that's also why I wanted to stick around, is conditional status and what the terms are. One of the things that we hear the most is that someone just didn't want to be in band anymore, and so because they didn't want to be in band anymore, but knew that they had to be in band to stay active, they decided to opt to go for conditional status. So conditional status is not for people who no longer want to be in band. It's for people who can't be enrolled in band but still want to be connected to the organization. That could be if work or class schedules. We have situations where people study abroad. Obviously, you cannot be over in Italy studying abroad and still meet national obligations in order to be an active member. So those are examples of reasons why people want or can go conditional. And I think that is it. Those are the only ones that we didn't really cover. But again, like I said, we're going to share that information with you. Thank you again for being here today. It has been fun talking and learning from you.